Hello and welcome back to another episode of One of Us is Talking. Today I am here with Sophia Soto, who I think you might all know as an iconic interviewer. I'm going to let Sophia introduce herself. So here you go.
Hi everyone, Sophia Soto, and I'm so sorry you're seeing my dog Rosie crash here. So if that's who you're seeing, it's her, my little co-host. But yeah, I'm a journalist and writer, and I'm so excited to be on the other side of an interview.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's so cool to see everyone that you've interviewed and you cover like all the top shows and you're always so prominent on Twitter and you get everyone so excited. Did you ever think that you were going to get this far in your career or be able to achieve that?
Never. And I really did not know, I really did not consider this a career option for the longest time because being on camera was not something I ever considered. And being a writer wasn't something I really considered because it wasn't like I was so great with words or anything. So it really kind of fell in my lap. And then I realized what I could do besides writing, such as interviewing talent that I've looked up to for my entire life. And as a fan, I love interacting with fandoms. It's one of my favorite parts of my job. And so, yeah, I really never expected it. And I'm very grateful for anyone who contributes to it because it's not something that I can do by myself. I'm very lucky to have all the support I do. So,
I mean, it's so exciting. We're just kind of coming off of the High School Musical, this
yes,
year, High School Musical, the musical, the series,
yeah,
season 4, and you just interviewed Sophia. That was so exciting. And I
yes.
mean, one thing about press that I think's interesting now is the whole strike. So, I mean, this strike going on, it kind of affected some of the current shows, but you also have had with previous shows such a great run. You got to do some of these top shows. How did you kind of get your start in this industry?
Oh my gosh. I was able to do an internship and then kind of move forward myself in my career. And I was lucky enough that the Nerds of Color really allowed me to spread my wings and kind of was like, if you want to cover it, we're not going to stop you. Like, do whatever you want to cover. They didn't say like, oh, we're going by seniority or oh, we're doing this or oh, you can't do this. They were very just like, we want to make sure you grow and, we want you to do what you're passionate about. And I was very lucky to be with them and I really couldn't believe that. It was really awesome to just some of my first interviews. I remember my first Zoom interview for Nerds of Color was with Holland Roden, who I absolutely love. Obviously, Lydia Martin from Teen Wolf. I got to interview her about Mayans MC, and it was just so incredible. It was like this hour-long discussion, just me and her on Zoom, and she was just so gracious with her time and just so kind to me. And I got to do the Goldbergs cast after that, which was just so cool because that's a show I discovered over quarantine and was such a comfort for my family and I. And they were all just, again, so lovely, so generous with their time. And I would say the first big junket I did that I could not believe I was doing was for the morning show. And I was lucky enough to get time with Jennifer Aniston and Reese Witherspoon, which was the most insane thing for me. I could not believe it. And that's thanks to their incredible reps who made sure we got time with them and just I remember being in the interview room and pinching myself because I was like, oh my God, who I'm about to interview. It's just, and again, they were just so nice. They were so warm with me and just so, I had 4 minutes, I believe, with each of them. And just, they made those 4 minutes count and they made it like, they made it just really nice. And it was such an amazing experience for me. And since then, I've been able to do bigger junkets and, you know, eh, keep growing. It's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I personally, whenever I have a show that I watch, I see your name everywhere. And I first found out about you with the cast of One of Us is Lying. I remember
Yes.
watching your interview with Marianne Lee Cooper, and I remember saying, I want to be just like her. And I didn't even know, like, at the same time, like, we were similar in age. I didn't even know that. I was like,
Yeah.
he is literally like goals, career goals. Like,
You.
from how you conduct your interviews to who you interview, such an inspiration. And I just think you grew so naturally too. It wasn't like you got any kinds of ins or you just
Yeah.
really grew naturally by yourself. And I think that is a big part of your talent. And I think you're so sweet and you're so good at what you do. So I just wanted to say that while we're here. And I think everybody
Ew.
can agree.
That means, yeah, it's very surreal whenever I get compliments. I'm sure you saw it on my face. It's crazy for me, even on, the YouTube comments, I do read them for all of my interviews, and Twitter whenever I get a sweet message, and it does genuinely mean so, so much to me. I read everything, and, a lot of the times I'm in a position where I'm like, oh my God, I hope I did that right, or I hope I didn't look stupid, or, it's very nerve-wracking to be on camera, and it's very nerve-wracking to put yourself out there in that way, because you are putting yourself out there in that way. As a journalist, I create all my own questions. If someone says they're not good questions, that's a reflection on me. I take that very, very seriously. And yeah, it always means the world when I get a compliment. It always just makes my day, and I appreciate you saying all of that, and it really means a lot.
You're so kind and you're so humble for everything you've achieved. Like you're still so grounded. And I know we kind of had talked about this, but I think something that is so crazy is how there aren't a lot of young females in this industry.
Yes.
And who are the fangirls? That is the people like you and me. And
Yeah.
I think what's so great about seeing you on screen is it kind of brings to all the people hoping to get there one day, like, okay, this is just a normal girl who went to college, took this path and got here. So I think that serves as a reminder that anyone can do this when they put their mind to it.
Oh, 100%. And yeah, I want to touch on what you said. Obviously, there's so many times that I'm, in the waiting room or just at an event, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm the youngest one here. I look different, and it's very intimidating. And yeah, anyone can do this if you have the passion and the love. That's what I have to say, because something I always say before the start of every interview is I'm a fan of the person I'm interviewing, because it is true. I'm a fan of everything I interview and everyone that I interview. And so I always say that to them, because while that for some people could be like, oh my God, that's not professional, it's me letting the person know that I respect your work and I'm familiar with your work. And I'm not just doing this because it's a popular show or you're a big actor. I'm doing this because I love your work. I admire you, and I'm here to highlight your work. And so I am, yeah, I say that first all the time. I am a fan first before anything else. I'm a journalist, I'm a writer, but I'm a fan. So anyone that is a fan and that, loves it, you can do it too. That's 100% accurate. Um, I'll share a story that is like very special to me. I did my first in-person junket, and it was for Asteroid City. And I got to meet and interview these incredible, incredible actors that I could not believe I was there to do. And I interviewed Maya Hawke, and I had interviewed her previously for Do Revenge and for Stranger Things, which was so incredible. I love her. I love her work. And that was my first ever in-person junket, and that was my first ever in-person interview. So I went into that room, and she immediately was like, it's so nice to see you again in person this time. And I could not believe that she remembered me. And the fact that she said that, I was so nervous. I had such anxiety going into that room, because I didn't know what an in-person junket was going to be like. Didn't know what an in-person interview was going to be like. And it was very intimidating to be there. And there can be a moment where you're almost like, should I be here? Do I belong here? And Maya saying that, which was so probably small and insignificant to her, put me at such ease and gave me such comfort, and was like, well, if Maya Hawke remembers me from my interviews with her, maybe I'm doing something right and I should be here. So I give her, I have so much love for her just as a person, as an actress, and I think she's just so incredibly talented. So that is a story that sticks out to me. I was just like, those are the type of memories that are something that you can never believe, no matter how long you've been doing this or no matter who you're interviewing.
Yeah. And that's such a sweet story. And I think for me, a surprise that has come through interviews is you don't realize until you're face to face with the person how human they also are.
Oh,
And
100%.
you just, like you said, going in there, you feel like you don't always belong, or you feel like you're out of place. And that's such a common feeling, I know, for me, because you're not, it's people a lot of times, like you said, you're a fan of, you sometimes look up to, you have to be professional, but it sometimes just feels like you're not qualified because we, as a
100%.
society, and we sometimes view celebrities kind of up there,
Oh,
and
yeah.
they deserve it. They put in all this hard work and they deserve to be viewed and as like this incredible being, but it's intimidating when you go into that room and you're like, oh,
Yeah, especially, there's been some people that I've been a fan of since I was young, like so young. I was one of the biggest ones for me was I got the privilege and honor of speaking with Chris Hemsworth, who I've been a fan of since the Thor movie came out. I believe I was 11 when that movie came out. Yeah, 11. I've been a fan of him since. I followed him in his career since. He's one of my all-time favorite actors. And getting in that Zoom room and speaking to him, and he was the nicest guy. He made those 4 minutes 4 of the best minutes for me, and a career highlight. No matter what happens to me next, that is the career highlight. Eh, You know, you never forget stuff like that. And again, those were 4 minutes for him, but that meant the world to me. He was like, he said, oh, this is my favorite interview of the year. And that to me meant everything. And I couldn't believe he was saying that to me. He's someone I always dreamed of interviewing and meeting, and it was just incredible. And Ryan Reynolds, Dylan O'Brien, Sandra Bullock, Anne Hathaway, there's are just names that they are just, and everyone, I've never had a bad interview story. A lot of people ask me who is your favorite interview, who sticks out, and they all stick out for a reason. They all were just lovely for a reason. And I can never really give one answer. I have a story about so many of them that, Dylan O'Brien was incredible with me. I interviewed him twice and he remembered me the second time. And at the end of the interview, he was like, "We're done already." And it was so, it was just so nice. And, Ryan Reynolds, incredible actor, incredible human being. And I got to ask him about his amazing program that he did for the Adam Project. And he had followed me on Twitter right after the interview. And I was like, I know how many people he spoke to that day. How did I stand out to him? And he had sent me the sweetest message because I reached out to him and just thanked him. And I was like, you have no idea how much your time meant to me. And he sent me the sweetest response. And it was just like, it was just incredible. And I'm very grateful because these people will never know how much it meant to me. I'm so sorry, that's my phone ringing. But these people will never know how much it meant to me. And it's so incredible when I get to reunite, I say reunite with an actor, and they remember me for some reason. It's really insane to me. It's something I never get used to. But it also makes me feel so validated and makes me feel like, oh wow, like it's incredible. It's incredible. And I have to thank everyone who has ever done an interview with me because everyone has just been so lovely and kind and just always been really great with me. And it does not go unnoticed. It's something that is just I will forever be grateful for because I started out never thinking that I would be in this position. And I, of course, have more growing to do. And, you know, it's just amazing though. I'm very grateful for anyone who has ever given their time and been warm and kind to me. And yeah, I mean, I've had some really amazing stories. Vincent D'Onofrio said hi to my dad because I said we both watch his movies together. Sandra Bullock called my mom a badass because I told her that my mom's favorite movie is The Heat. And I'm like, how do I ever that's something that will never, to get to show my mom that video. It's crazy. It's crazy. So it's something you never get used to, but it's just an amazing feeling.
yeah. I mean, the time that these people give, no matter if it's 2 minutes or 20 minutes, you don't realize like how tight their
Yes,
schedules are packed and that they're giving you this time. And I really like how you brought up how some of the actresses and actors have even gone as far as like saying hi to a parent or
amazing.
because I've had some of that happen too with my mom's a big fan of Jess McLeod from One of Us is Lying.
I love Jess. I love Jess so
Love
much.
and after I had interviewed them, they were my very first interview. I remember shaking. My mom had walked in and it was her birthday. And Jess was like, "Do you mind if I say hi? Like, I can say happy birthday." And my mom, that made her whole day. And it's crazy how these people, they're just so you don't expect it because you go into these interviews and you're like they must be so busy, but they're still a human and they still want to
100%.
connect with you. And I think personally, I don't know about you, but that was one thing I feared going into this. It was always like, what if you talk with someone and they're not nice and you don't know like kind of what
Yeah,
to say?
of course, of course, of course. I'm so sorry. I have to plug my computer in. All
No
these
worries.
interruptions, I'm so, so sorry.
No worries.
But I don't want it to die on you. I want us to be able to talk as long as we want to talk. My computer, it dims, so that's how I know. It's like plug me in before I die on you. Okay, there we go. Oh God. Okay, perfect. My dad was blowing up my phone because someone was just announced for comic. Okay. Yes, 100%. I think it is very important to treat the person on the other side of the screen as a human being. That's why the first thing I always say to them is not only hi, but thank you for your time, because I know how insanely busy their schedule is. And yes, it might only be 4 or 5 minutes of their time, but they're probably exhausted by the end of the day. I certainly would be. So that's like one of the most important things for me is thanking them and giving that respect because and longer interviews are amazing. I mean, I got to talk to Sophia for 30 minutes and it was just like a conversation, and I got to speak with Katarina from Grey's Anatomy, who's just such an amazing not only talent but human being for an hour. And again, I mean, certain interviews you do conversations like that and it's such a disbelief. And yeah, I'm always grateful for every minute. I say that all the time, even if it's just 4 or 5 minutes. I don't care. I will take any amount of time, and it's always just so enlightening to hear their responses to my questions and hear about their work, and it just makes my respect grow for them as a person and as an actor. Yeah, it's always incredible to hear their responses.
Yeah, definitely. And going into Nerds of Color, when you started working for them, did you ever think that you'd have the opportunity to get into any of these press junkets, or was it just kind of like, oh, this seems like something I'll like, let me see how it goes?
Oh, I had no expectations. I just knew I wanted to write and I wanted to do stuff, and I had no idea what I was going to be allowed to do. You kind of put yourself on the line a lot of the times, you know, asking to be part of an outlet, and um, they from the very beginning, the Nerds of Color is such an incredible group of human beings and such incredible team members, and just I love every single person on my team and just every single person I've gotten to work with. And they've been incredible in allowing me to grow and really allowing me to do whatever interest I have. And so I never knew I really had no expectations whatsoever of what I was going to be allowed to do. And it was so insane to do still what I do. I look back at some of the names I've gotten to interview and I'm like, I really can't believe that I was allowed to do that. Not even allowed to do that, but just like I can't believe I did that. I can't believe it was just, you know, there are some names on there that I really just I pinched myself over. I was just talking about Selena Gomez yesterday because I have looked up to her since I don't even know an age because really I've looked up to her since Wizards. Who knows how old I was when that came out? I had to be very young, and
Mhm.
I've looked up to her ever since. She's the first time, I say this all the time, she's the first time I ever saw someone who looked like me on screen, and I've loved her since. And I got to interview her for season 2 of Only Murders in the Building, and that was how I started my interview. I said, you were the first time I ever saw representation on my screen, and I followed you ever since. And she had such a gracious response. She was so, just her response was so amazing, and it was just such a beautiful moment, for me as a human being, let alone a journalist. And she's someone who I will probably look up to her no matter what, no matter what chapter I'm in. And that is an interview that, again, I was just like, I can't believe that. And Martin Short and Steve Martin, like two absolute legends. They were, we got to do a trio interview with them, and it was just, it was overwhelming how just, first of all, how amazing the three of them were, just kindness wise to me, but just being in a room, even if it's a Zoom room, talking to the three of them, it's insane. Those are two people, again, I've watched my entire life. I love their work. My parents are huge fans of them. My grandparents are huge fans of them. And it's just like, again, to be allowed to talk to three people like that, um, who I so greatly admire. It's such a crazy thing. And you never get over it. You never get over it, especially if you watch the show they're in. Every time I see that show, I'm reminded of the incredible, incredible opportunity I got to do. And it's insane. It's something you never get over.
It's true. And I mean, those are such wonderful stories. And I don't mean to change the subject, but
Yeah,
you were
no,
doing
please.
all of these while you were still in college. Like, that is crazy to me.
Yes,
You were doing all of these while
yes,
still a student. You were doing the job of what we were saying, like 40, 50-year-olds, much
yeah.
older in college. And I think that is just crazy to be 20, 21 years old talking to some of like the biggest names in talent and the way you conduct yourself and are
Right.
able, because I think going into it, like how to conduct yourself. Obviously, we all do, like,
Yeah.
but it's for someone to be that young and to interview these talents and you don't even look an ounce nervous. Like
Well, I
you
am. 100% can say that most of the time I am, if not all the time. It's very, very crazy. But yes, no, I love the point you're making. Yes, please continue.
Yeah, I mean, just that you were able to get in front of the camera and talk to these people. And I think that's why you're such a role model, especially for females who want to go into this industry, because there's no limit on when you can start. Don't
Yeah.
worry about where you're working or where you are career wise or in a job, because there's always an opportunity.
There is, and I think, a lot of the time talent sees that. Talent sees how young you are, and maybe they remember, starting in the industry, they're that same age. And it's very, one interaction that stands out was, I believe it was my second red carpet. I had Gossip Girl was my first red carpet, and they were all incredible. That cast is amazing. I've had the time of my life supporting that cast. But my second red carpet was for Don't Look Up, that huge, insane Netflix movie with Leonardo DiCaprio, Meryl Streep, Jennifer Lawrence, like Tyler Perry, Jonah Hill, just this amazing cast that is like a dream cast. And I was able to do the red carpet. And I remember going into it and I said to my mom, I know they're probably not going to all stop. I go, but if Jennifer Lawrence stopped, like that would be the dream. I have loved her my entire life. I thought she was such an incredible role model. I loved Hunger Games growing up, and I still remember this still so vividly. And I don't remember what the interview was or what the discussion was, but basically she had said to an interviewer, and she was like, I'm not gonna lose weight or starve myself so that girls look up to me as Katniss and think they have to do the same to look like me. And I thought that was the most just I never got that out of my head. I never got that out of my head. I have looked up to her since then, and I thought that was just so powerful and so incredible as a young girl looking up to her. And so I said, if I get to talk to, to Jennifer Lawrence, who I've loved, since Katniss Everdeen, um, that will be it. Like, that will be the highlight. And I went on the carpet, and Tyler Perry was amazing. He graciously stopped and spoke with me, and was sure to address me and looked eye contact, and was just such an amazing human being. And I've actually spoken with him again since, and he's great. So talented, but he's also such a great person. Jennifer Lawrence comes out, and I'm like, oh my God, that's Jennifer Lawrence. She's here. And I knew she was gonna be there, but it's very different actually seeing her. And I'm towards the end, and I see her walking, and she's not stopping. And I'm like, oh my God, she's going straight to photos, like she's not gonna stop. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And all of a sudden she's in front of me, dead center in front of me. And her PR rep is saying, okay, go ahead. And I remember so vividly, and it's on the video. I remember so vividly just looking at her and going, oh my God, hi, Jennifer. Because I was in such shock. I didn't register that she was coming to me. And I was like, why is she coming to me? Like, what's going on? And she made sure before anything else that she spoke to me and gave me time to speak to her. And she will never know how much that means to me. It meant everything to me. It made me feel just so, it made me feel beyond words. I can't really even describe it. It's something that I will never forget. It's something that, you know, to have her do that, I know who's on the carpet. I know the other amazing outlets that are on the carpet. And the fact that she just came straight to me was something that was just, I couldn't even understand it. And she was so sweet. She answered all my questions. She took a picture with me at the end, and a lot of other people were shoving their microphones in her face to try to get quotes, and she would not take her eyes off of me. She made this eye contact that the whole time, no matter what. She was just looking at me and talking to me, and it was the most special feeling. um and I remember after, everyone looked at me and they were like, who do you know? And I'm like, I don't know anyone. And it was just, yeah, it's something that whenever I talk about it, I never really know how to put into words what it meant to me. Um, but again, that experience is something that I grew up loving her. I have so much love and respect for her. And if she wouldn't have stopped, I would have completely understood. Um, but what she did will always, always just stand out to me as it's not even a career highlight. It is just a memory that I cherish and meant so much to me as a person, that she would go out of her way to do that for me. I was the youngest one on the carpet, 100%. I was there with my phone recording. I didn't have a camera crew or anything. It was just me in my little section with my phone, and hoping that these incredible actors that I love so much would stop for me. And I have to say, anyone who supports Jennifer Lawrence, you're supporting the right girl. She is incredible. Yeah, I just, so much love, so much respect for her. And it's really funny because I actually just spoke with her again for No Hard Feelings, and my quote got used on like a poster thing for it.
Ooh.
And of course it was a Jennifer Lawrence quote, because of course it was. But it was a really incredible moment to see my name plastered on like a quote with a picture, promoting the movie. That was so insane to me. And I was like, it's very fitting that it's a Jennifer Lawrence quote, because that's very true to me. But yeah, so stuff like that, when it happens, you never get over it. You never get used to it. I will say, I guess that's the way to phrase it, is when these actors go out of their way to do something that could not only be career changing for you, but could mean so much to you because at the end of the day, again, I am just a fan who is getting lucky enough to do what I love. So, that is, I owe a lot of, I hope to thank a lot of people one day. And I have all these memories that I hope one day I get to sit down and thank them and be like, you probably don't remember this, but you did this for me. And um, it meant everything. So
You're gonna
that
need
was
to
a long-winded answer.
no worries, but you're gonna need to write like an autobiography and like all your interviews.
My dad actually said to do that. He's like, you got to write all this down. And I'm like, it's so crazy. It's so whenever I think about it too long, it's just like, it's so crazy.
Because some of the things that happen and some of the people you talk to, I'm sure little you never imagined in a million years. That's
No, little
great.
me, it's so funny because little me would go to like interview events. Like there was a place in the city called like Build Studios, and they would have interviews there, and I would go and be in the audience or maybe ask a question. Um, in just hopes of meeting some of my favorite actors, or I'd go to New York Comic Con and hope that I got to meet one of my favorite actors. And little me would never expect this. I believe I told you this story, but Chloe Bennett from Agents of Shield, who I just I cannot say enough amazing things about her as a person. But Agents of Shield, Marvel is such a big thing for my dad and I. It's something we've bonded over, and it's a huge, you know, I've seen every Marvel movie with him since I was 8 in the theaters. And so Agents of Shield, we loved and we watched every week together, no matter what was going on. And the first year I went to Comic-Con, which was 2016, Chloe Clark, and a few other people had went. And I remember first moment I saw Chloe come out, and I was so just overwhelmed. I didn't get a ticket to the autograph signing because it was a lottery, and I had waited all morning in line to get a wristband for her panel. And so I didn't win the lottery, and I was just kind of standing there in the front with this huge crowd to see them. And I was just hoping maybe Chloe would take a picture with me. I was just hoping maybe at the end of her signing, and I just kept yelling her name, and I just kept like, I just loved her so much. And it was the first time I had ever been to a Comic Con, and it was incredible to see her in person. And all of a sudden, she had come out to hand out wristbands for the panel to anyone who was cosplayed by her. And I didn't cosplay. I wish I could. I see such amazing cosplays, and I could never. You guys are incredible with the cosplays. Um, but she was handing out all these panels, and all of a sudden she was like, "And you?" And I was like, I was so confused, but she had reached her hand off the stage to take mine and help me get on the stage. And there were probably 200 or 300 people watching, and I just remember sobbing my eyes out because I could not process or register what was happening, and I couldn't believe I was meeting someone who I considered a superhero, my superhero. I had watched her for so long on my screen, and she had meant so much to me, and the character she played meant so much to me. And I just kept hugging her. She just kept hugging me. She gave me like a bunch of stuff she had, like merch. Like I think I got a pair of Marvel socks, and I have all of it upstairs. And then she was like, I want to sign a poster for you. But before that, she went down in the crowd to go and meet my father and hug him. And then she brought me behind the stage, personalized a poster for me. She took pictures with me, and my dad got to come up and meet Clark because she introduced me to Clark, she was like, "This is my friend." And I said to Clark, I'm like, "You're my dad's favorite." This is my dad's favorite. And he was like, "Well, now I have to meet your dad." So my dad got to come up and shake his hand, and it was the most incredible experience that you could ever ask for as a fan. And the next year she had come back and she remembered me, and it was just so nice. And so I always, since I started, wanted to interview her, and it actually finally happened. And I actually even posted the pictures of me and her from Comic-Con, which is something I never thought I'd do on my professional account. But before the interview started, I had gotten to tell her, I'm like, "You probably don't remember this, but and I showed her the picture, and she just had such such a moment. It was just such a moment to be able to connect with her on that level, and for her to just, she was like, "I'm so proud of you." And she was like, "Anytime you want to talk to me, we'll do it, like no matter what." And she just was like the most amazing person. And she is the definition of a role model, but also just the way she treated me, it was on a Zoom call, and the things she said were just so, it was just such a beautiful, beautiful moment, and a full circle moment for me at that. And it was a pinch me moment. It was a pinch me moment, that little 16-year-old Sophia that was probably sobbing on the stage, hugging Chloe Bennett, would never think that she was going to be doing this. So it was a very crazy moment. And there are plenty of celebrities that I've gotten to speak with that younger Sophia would never, never believe. And that's because younger Sophia got to dream. So that's the real reason I'm here.
Yeah, I mean, all of these stories you have, they're so heartwarming. And I think what I love about them too is your parents are involved in a lot of them.
Oh, yes.
And that is
They encourage
something
me so much. I'm
I
so
relate.
grateful.
Yes, I relate to that so much because it's like my parents behind me too, who like have always supported and want to see my interviews. And I love how your
100%.
stories incorporate them because I relate to that so much. And I just
Oh,
think,
yeah.
like you said, your mom, like, and your dad, when they say hi, or the celebrities say hi to the people. I can't talk. When the celebrities say hi to your parents, or if they go to an event with you, that is like so my mom and my dad. And
Yeah.
even when I was like 16, I was the same. I'd want to go to all these events and even just have the chance to ask one question. Like I always
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
wanted to meet these people I looked up to, and not even in the way of like, oh my God, I'm a crazy fangirl. Like I need to get a picture, but like,
It's admiration.
yes, admiration. And like, I want to ask them a question because I want to kind of pick their brain and know what they think.
100%. Yeah, that was me. And I got to bring my mom to the Law and Order premiere red carpet, and she introduced me to Law and Order, her and my grandparents. And just having her there was such an amazing moment for her to get to see what I do, firsthand. And I'm very, very grateful for my parents' support. I could not do what I do without them. They have been so supportive since day one, bringing me to these events, and waiting outside or standing in lines for
Yeah.
hours with me. And 100% would not be where I am without that. But their support is a huge reason that I'm where I am.
Yeah. And I feel like the personality trait to interview like we have, it
Yeah.
starts young. Like it does start with
Oh,
one
100%.
always ask these questions. And I think a lot of people on Twitter, and like if you have a Stan account, kind of the same thing. Like we're all like-minded. We all kind of have that, we want to ask questions and we like and be respectful
Yeah.
about it. I think that's like the number one rule. And I don't know that, I'm sure for you too.
100%, 100%. And I think it is so, at least for me, something I always try to do is not only, I got a comment about this morning, I got a tweet about it, and it made my day, because it's something I always try to do, is make the interview personal. I want to tell them, not only am I a fan, but I love this, or I related to this storyline, or this character means the world to me. I want them to know that their work has personally affected me. And you know it's very easy to go into an interview with a person that from a popular show and ask them about that show. That's very easy, and a lot of the times we'll make clickbait articles or gossipy articles, and we'll get a ton of views. But that is like the one thing I always say I will never do, and I hope I never have to. um I'd rather ask them about the work they are there to promote. And
Mhm.
I don't want to disrespect their work by asking them about a movie that they're not there to promote, or a show that they're not there to promote. They're there to promote a specific thing. They're excited about that thing. And that thing deserves to be highlighted. So that's something I always really try to do, is stay on focus. And yes, listen, there are plenty of opportunities to even tie in a current project to a past project, and that I feel is okay, because you are almost highlighting growth, or highlighting how it's different. Or even I've given questions like, what would your character do? Which character would you like to see in this situation? And then that gives them the opportunity to pick a character from their past project to talk about, if they want to.
Yeah.
So I think there are definitely ways to pay tributes to, big shows they've been in, or anything like that. But it's very important, I feel, to respect them as artists and respect whatever it is they're promoting, because they did spend time working on that, and it deserves to be highlighted as equally as their most popular roles or projects.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I think that's so important, highlighting what they're there for, but also giving them that opportunity if they want to bring something else in.
Yeah.
And you have such great advice. So I'm wondering if anyone who's looking to go into this career, what advice do you have for them? What would you recommend kind of getting
Yeah.
started with and doing?
Um, just keep loving what you do. Love movies and TV. Whether that's on a Stan account, whether that is, writing something about it, whether that is making a list of questions you hope one day to ask the actor. Just keep the passion and use that passion to get to a position that allows you to do what you deserve to do, because you have a voice,
Mhm.
you deserve to use it. Um, I never let anyone tell you otherwise.
Yeah.
If you can't get accepted to an outlet for whatever reason, create your own WordPress blog. It is super easy. Um, and just write, just write, just write, just write. Reach out to, whoever you have to reach out to. Take that shot. You never know if they'll say yes or not unless you do it.
Mhm.
There are plenty of interviews that I've been like, there's no way I'm going to get this. And somehow I ended up getting it. So that is the biggest piece of advice I have. Just keep the passion that can so often get crushed. Don't feel like it's a stupid hobby. I know a lot of people that, you know, might get talked down to about a certain passion. And that is, first of all, just a horrible thing to do to another human being. Um, but don't ever let that stop you. Every single passion deserves to be explored. Um, and everything deserves that. So you have to just keep the passion and just be yourself too. Don't be a version of yourself, or um don't try to change something about you or act like less of a fan. Being a fan is okay. I think there's this like standard that if you're a fan, you're a fan, and you are, but you can also be a journalist. You can also be a reporter. You can also be an interviewer. I think fans make the best interviewers or make the best writers, because you have that passion and that respect for whoever you're talking about or whatever project you're talking about, that someone who is just doing it to get paid might not. So I think it is very, very, very important to stay a fan, and keep the passion that you have as a fan. It's okay to grow as a fan, but don't grow out of it. Keep that like wonder about the whole thing.
Yeah, I think that's such great advice. And I think, like you said, a Stan account is so important. I have
Oh
made
yeah,
so many connections just from having a Stan account.
100%.
And that is one thing people will try to like belittle you about because
Oh,
it's
never.
never let them do that.
Never. No, you are, please. I see the edits Stan accounts make, and I am in total awe. It's just, I
Mhm.
bookmark some. If you see a random bookmark on an edit, it's probably me if I follow you. Or if it's a couple I'm obsessed with, because I love ship edits. Oh my God, I've seen the Ricky and Gina ship edits now that season 4 has come out, and you guys are just so talented. Do not let anyone tell you otherwise. Fan fiction writers, you guys are incredible. You keep the fandom alive. And that love you have for those characters or shows, is what would make you a good writer or a good journalist or a good interviewer. 100%. Do not let anyone shame you or tell you otherwise for a Stan account. Like, never. There are so many Stan accounts that talent knows about. I've
Mhm.
seen plenty of videos that like talent has been like, oh, I know that fan page. Like, there's a reason they know about you. There's a reason they
Yeah.
see you. They see the support. Um, so never let anyone tell you otherwise, because that is someone trying to just make someone else feel bad. And that's just not, don't ever let that affect you.
Yeah.
It's so
And
not true.
it's so true.
It's
I mean, it's so true not to let it affect you. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
when I was in middle school, I was obsessed with Pretty Little Liars and I got made fun of for it because
Yes.
I was like a huge fan. And, I always laugh because they could say what they wanted back then. But here I am. I have this podcast now. I interviewed the
Yeah.
cast of my favorite show. Like what that show, Pretty Little Liars, did for me really
Oh,
up who
100%.
I am now.
100%. Pretty Little Liars, I feel like, was such a monumental show if you were a teen girl. I feel like it was the first and probably only show I've seen with five female leads that were actually different and written like females. And that cast is one of the nicest casts. That is a cast that I not only continue to support all these years later, but like I will go to bat for them. They're all just such amazing and nice human beings. And just, I've gotten to meet some of them as a fan. I've gotten to meet some of them as a journalist. Um, and I've never had a poor experience. They're just, I mean, I did like 30 or an hour a conversation with Ian Harding. He was just so nice and generous with his time. And it was the second time I interviewed him. And he's incredible. And his answers are so well spoken. And he's just Blackburn with Roswell, New Mexico. Lucy Hale, I've gotten to do Troy and Belisario, who, oh my gosh, I adore them. I adore Shay Mitchell. Oh my gosh, I've gotten to speak with so many of them. I got to meet Ashley Benson as a fan, and she was just so nice. She stopped to take a picture with me when security was trying to rush her to the back, and she was just, and my camera broke as I was trying to take the picture, and I was like freaking out. I wanted to cry, and she stood there and waited until my camera went back on to take the picture. And I probably didn't even say much to her because I was so shocked. She's just so amazing. And I could not believe she did that. And it meant just everything to my little self, who, tried to do everything I could to meet her at that event. And she went out of her way to make sure I got to take a picture with her, and was just so nice to me. And um, Janelle Parrish, I got to interview too, and she's just wonderful. And yeah, I cannot say enough things about the PLL cast. And they're all incredible. They're all so amazing. Keegan, I've gotten to do Keegan Allen as well. Um, I think I've gotten to meet or do something with every single member of that cast. And it's just such an amazing, amazing group of people. And I think it changed me so much. PLL as a show. And I think it changed so many young girls who got to watch that show. So I think that's one of those shows that will always be iconic and always be spoken about highly, whether you like how it ended or not. Because I know some people are like, if I don't like the way a show ends, it ruins it. No, you have to appreciate the work. You have to appreciate the work that went into that show, whether you appreciate an ending or don't like it or whatever. Um, so yeah, that's a show that I think I will always almost kind of protect. I will always fight for that
Yeah.
show. I will always fight for that cast too. Um, yeah, they're incredible. They're an incredible group of people.
Yeah, I totally agree. Sophia, thank you so much for your
Of
time. This was
course.
so great. I can't wait to get this episode out.
Yes,
You had
yes.
so many fun stories. And
Oh,
thank
I hope
you
everyone
again.
loves it. Thank you so much. No, thank you for doing this. I know I probably rambled a lot.
Oh my God, no, don't
And
worry.
it was such a pleasure. Yeah, 100%. Thank you for making this an amazing interview, more like a discussion. And you are gonna be going so many places that I can't wait to see and follow. And you should be very proud of yourself.
Thank you so much. It means the
Of
world to me.
course.
And I
Of
can't wait
course,
to
of
see
course.
what's in store for you.